Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we'll be learning about what can we learn from the people of the past, what were the lessons, and we will also try to really understand how we're not very different from the people of the past. Like we're still doing the same things so many years later. So this is very important because sometimes you feel like they lived in stone age and we are in such modern internet age, digital era. How can we relate to such people? That is not the case. They're mentioned in the Quran, and Quran is a timeless book, and we can always learn lessons from them. You will see how today. So before we move ahead, what was the message of all the prophets? So it was to worship one God. Um, and what does worship mean? So when I asked you all this, most of you were kind of confused, and some of you said, well, it means namaz, roza. Well, yes, namaz, roza is a part of worshipping. But when we talk about deen, our deen, Islam, well, deen is a way of life. It is not just restricted to the namaz and roza, and then the rest of the time we can do whatever we like. That's not how it goes. Some people also said that, oh, so we must spend all our time in masjid. No, that's not natural. Allah Ta'ala has made us and He knows we can't do that. We would suffocate. We need to meet people. We need to hang out and we need to have families. And that's why, this is a very natural way of life. Allah Ta'ala wants us to have families. Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he had a family. He used to play with the children and he used to go to parties and he used to meet with people. And he was kind with everyone. And ये सब चीज़ें होती थी. This is a very normal life, but the remembrance of Allah was always with him. He was always careful not to do the things which Allah Ta'ala has told us not to do, and to always do the things, try to do more and more good deeds which Allah Ta'ala has encouraged us to do. So we can say that worship means to live our life in the way Allah has told us to, which is for our own good, if only we understand. Now, not only should we do the things, but we should also believe in our heart. Like, pura aapko yaqeen hona chahiye that everything that our Creator Allah Ta'ala has told us to do is for our own good. If we don't do it, if we try any other way, well, that's not going to be the best way because Allah Ta'ala has made us. He knows what's best for us. He knows what our body and our soul, how it works and what is the best things for us for it. We also discussed these things, that all of these three things are very important. So not only are namaz and reading Quran and understanding it important, but also iman, which is believing. Why are you doing what you're doing? This is very important. Allah Ta'ala can see what you're thinking and feeling all the time. And ihsan is, how you deal with people. What are your manners? What kind of a character do you have? So all of these things make up worship. Okay, moving ahead, we revise this. What can we learn from the people of the past? So the reason why we learn, their stories is because to learn a lesson from the stories. Then we kind of saw this timeline about different prophets that were sent in different times. These are the prophets that were mentioned in the Quran. So before moving ahead, we must remember that whenever we study about the lives of the prophets, we must reflect on the lessons and think, how can I change myself with this lesson? This is why Allah Ta'ala has actually told all these amazing stories in the Quran. So then we did this. This was a classwork. You can pause here and write these questions down if you haven't already. Or you can also write them down from Google Classrooms. So in your notebook, I want you to, think about these questions, and then after I'm done with the video, you can answer them. What does worship mean? Write about the lessons you have learned from the lives of any three prophets. We will be discussing about 6 to 7 prophets today, and write any one point that you will inshallah start to live by, to kind of set a goal for yourself, that what will you live by. So the first prophet that we did was, you have already studied the story of Prophet Noah. We all know how it goes. But the message that we can maybe learn is that, you know, he was constantly calling people, but they still did not listen. Azab aa gaya, barish hona shuru ho gayi. Even then, the people were like, oh, it's okay. We will climb on top of the mountain, no problem. Kya bolte hain? But they did not listen. The thing is that, every day, what is happening with us today? Every day, 5 times a day, we hear the azan. Azan is saying, Hayya ala salah, Hayya al falah, which means come towards prayer, come towards success. And are we also ignoring it? We have the Quran with us. We know how to read. We can totally understand it. Do we give it the due time that we are supposed to? And then we, after reading it, after understanding it, are we really kind of, applying that message to our lives? So these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, and this is the lesson that we learned. Are we not repeating the same kind of mistakes where we just don't listen? The second was Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. We did this last year in a lot of detail. But one of the messages we learned from here is that, even while he was making the house of Allah Ta'ala, the Kaaba, he wasn't like showing off, or he wasn't like, oh my God, I'm making this, like, the house of Allah. Now everyone will have a place to worship. No, he was simply like, oh Allah, please accept this deed from me. So we too, whenever we do a good deed, we should think that, oh Allah, please accept this deed from me. It shouldn't be to show off or, just for, I don't know, pleasing the people. Third was Prophet Lut alayhi salam. Now, Lut alayhi salam's people were involved in a huge sin. The men would marry men, which is totally unnatural. Okay, so now this was 4,000 years ago, and well, even today, astaghfirullah, these things are happening and happening a lot in the West. And people are actually fighting for their rights. They're thinking that they're saying that, it's our life. We can do whatever we like with our life. Who are you to tell us what to do? You know? So we should be very, very clear about what we believe in, because all the movies and all the TV shows right now are gradually, showing these kind of relationships and making them look so natural and so okay and cool and romantic or whatever. And even the cartoons, as you can see over here, have started, having exploring these concepts, which is very, very scary. So we need to have a very crystal clear belief about what we believe in and what we, as a sin. Next was Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Now, as we know, this entire story of the brothers throwing Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam in the well. But would he have really reached Egypt and then, eventually become the minister that he became if they had not thrown him in the well? It was because he was thrown in the well that he was found by the people, and then he was sold to the, Aziza Misr or whatever. The point is that, don't get disappointed if some people plan bad for you, as sometimes Allah plans good for you through their bad planning. So don't get disappointed. Trust in Allah's plan and continue doing good. ठीक है? ऐसा don't be like ऐसा क्यों नहीं हुआ, वैसा क्यों नहीं हुआ. Just have faith. नेक्स्ट वाज प्रॉफिट शुएब अलैहिस्सलाम. इनकी स्टोरी ये थी कि इनके जो लोग थे ना, जिनकी तरफ इनको अल्लाह ताला ने मैसेंजर बना के भेजा था, दे वुड चीट इन बिजनेस. I mean, they would show something else and then they would sell something else. And I mean, this is so relevant today. This is like so many years ago, but people are still doing this today. I mean, we should fear Allah Ta'ala, because they got a very big azab after, they did not listen. हम लोग भी जो है, I mean, literally इतना बड़ा burger दिखाते हैं and then the burger we get is like so tiny. That is not cool. Especially, the same thing is done with the weighing scales. So, well, have things really changed? I mean, we are in this digital era. We are in this modern internet zamana. We think we are so cool because, those people were ancient and Stone Age people. I'm sorry, but nothing has really changed, as you can see. We are still doing the same things that they were doing. Astaghfirullah, may Allah Ta'ala guide us. And this is why Allah Ta'ala constantly mentions the stories of the prophets in the Quran so that we can learn lessons from them and not repeat the same things. I hope you guys understand that. Next was Prophet Musa alayhi salam. You all know the entire story. If you don't, I have shared links for all these stories. So thing was, he had to go and talk to the verse of the verse, which was the Pharaoh. And while he is going to talk to Pharaoh, and by the way, he also stuttered, Allah Ta'ala says to him, when you go to him and tell him that, oh, by the way, excuse me, you're not God, Allah Ta'ala is God, talk to him softly. This is such an amazing message. I mean, you can even write this point as, something to live by, because he, sometimes, we get so angry with the people who are corrupt or who are like really bad, or, who are evil or whatever. But over here, फिरौन से ज़्यादा और कौन corrupt और क्या evil और अपने आप को खुदा कहता था. But still Allah Ta'ala is advising Musa alayhi salam, speak to him softly. So we should also try to speak in a very soft voice to people around us, especially our parents, our siblings, our caretakers, people who work for us. Talk softly, okay? Gentleness in your voice. That is what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to. He had a very soft, gentle voice. Even when the enemies used to, talk to him rudely and गाली गलोच कर रहे हैं, पता नहीं क्या क्या उनको बोल रहे हैं, क्या क्या नहीं किया उन्होंने उनके साथ. But still, he always spoke to them softly. Okay, so have that adat. Last is Prophet Suleman alayhi salam. Now, Prophet Suleman alayhi salam was like so cool because now he was the son of a king, so he was a king. Okay, then he was very smart. He was very knowledgeable. He was very wise. Allah Taala made him very wise. He could control the jinns. He could talk to the animals and birds. He could control the wind, which means that he could almost fly. Now all these powers can really, जो हमारे basic kings होते हैं, हमारी दुनिया की kings या हमारी दुनिया की जो prime minister presidents होते हैं, they lose their mind because they get so much power and money. But यहाँ पे सुलेमान अलैहिस्सलाम had so much power and money, but never did he misuse his power. In fact, he used all his wealth and power to please Allah Ta'ala. And we too learned this lesson that, if Allah Ta'ala gives you wealth and power, don't forget Allah. Rather, always think, how can I use my power for good? Okay. So I hope you understood this lesson very clearly. Take care. Allah Hafiz, and do attempt the answer the questions.